Hello everyone, are you ready for another adventure? It's me, Woki, and I'm back with another fake Grand Order video. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, today we're going to be talking about the upcoming event, which is the Kumano Hot Springs Killer Case, which is the collab event that we are doing with Witch on the Holy Night. That is today. I always feel like I'm messing up the title because I keep thinking it's called the Witch of the Holy Night. No, it's actually not called that. It's called Witch on the Holy Night. But either way, that's going to be today's video. Hope you like it. If you do, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you're looking forward to the most. I know a lot of people were saving up for this event in particular. Feel free to tell me how ready you are for the summons, how not ready you are. Whatever you want to tell me about this event, feel free to let me know. And let's begin going over it, shall we? So, when does the event itself come out? Well, we know it's going to be coming out thanks to this. As you can see right here, there's going to be a Chaldea broadcasting station on the 29th at 6 p.m. PT, and after about like 3 hours later for me, for example, the game will then go into maintenance, and when the maintenance is over, the event itself will go up. So it should be, for me, on the 30th. Depending on your time zone, it might start a little bit later or earlier. I actually don't know. If it might still be the 29th for you, to be honest. But yeah, you can usually check the YouTube video itself at 3 hours. That's when maintenance will kick in, and then after maintenance is over, the event itself starts. Easy enough to explain, I think. I hope, at least. And then to participate in the event, all you need to do is have cleared Fuyuki, which is the same. It's the same condition for every single one of the collab events. Just clear Fuyuki, and you should be able to participate in it. And then the way the event breaks down is that we'll get the main quest 0 through 1, 0 and 1, I guess, main quest 0, 1, and some free quests at the launch of it, and then after 5 days, we should have the final acts. This is a little bit weird because this says at Act 6, but the final act is not Act 6. So I assume after Act 6 is the last one that you need to unlock, and then from that point on, it's easier, I guess. They all unlock at the same time. And then the new limited servants that will be coming with it are Aoko, Alice, and Sojuro. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Sojuro himself will get double EXP when leveling during the event. And then we also get a new mystic code, which is the Masaki High School uniform. They also do release little promotional materials too. But let's move on, continuing with the event itself. In terms of the event mechanics, you'll be able to get Sojuro by just advancing the story. You'll get clear. It's a mission-based reward, so as you clear missions, you'll earn exorcism points and other rewards. You unlock new quests by acquiring exorcism points, and then you get items, right, and then exchange them for event currencies. The CE bonuses for this one is Hot Springs Table Tennis, which will increase the damage dealt, the Puppeteer's Respite, which increases the Antique Paper Lantern drops, Phantasmal Eating Tour, or Eyewitness of the Holy Night. So there's actually 2 4-star CEs in this one, and both of them will increase the Hot Springs Milk drops. And then for Schoolhouse in Masaki, that increases Talisman of Shady History drops, and this is the 3-star. So this is the bronze drop, the silver drop, and the gold drop, retrospective of everything. You can also earn additional drops from free quests by choosing the optimal party lineups based on quest hints, which I'll go over that a little bit later when we go over to the free quest. And once you've cleared the main story, then you get your boy Sojuro over here. Then moving on. Event bonuses. In terms of servants that will have a 100% damage bonus and 50% bond bonus, that one's pretty easy. It's going to be Aoko, Alice, and Sojuro. And then the units that will have 50% to damage and 20% bond, that will be Muramasa, Void Shiki, Fujino, Sukutani Zanjobo, Kashin Koji, Karen, Space Ishtar, and Bazette. And then the only unit that gets 50% damage and 5% to the party bond is MASH. And then the units that get 30% attack and 20% to bond are Calamity Jane, Kid Gil, and Ku himself. The event cards, like I said, the event CE is going to be the Hot Springs Table Tennis. It's a 5-star CE. It increases quick performance by 6%, increases buster performance by 6%, and increases the damage against enemies of the chaotic alignment by 15%. And then you start the battle with 30% NP gauge, and then when you also for this event gives you 100% damage up. And if you max limit break it, that's 200% damage, and then the starting NP gauge will also be 50%, and I guess a tiny increase will happen to the other ones. They didn't put them here, but let's see what they are. 8% to quick, 8% to buster, and 20% to the chaotic alignment damage. So there you go. Craft Essence EXP cards, the 4-star version of it will be Strange Twins, and the 3-star is Chatty Detective Robin, which is a fantastic... I can't believe they just made this into Craft Essence EXP, because this is an adorable CE art right here. Event command codes are Mechanical Sorceress, which is the 5-star, deals 20% additional damage against enemies with stun, bound, or petrify debuffs, and then gain 3 crit stars when attacking with the engraved card. The 4-star is the Anti-Magecraft Armor Rocket Launcher, increases damage against enemies of the illegal alignment by 20%. And then we have the Lucky Bluebird, which is the 3-star, and it increases star absorption by 25% for the engraved card, and then increases NP gain by 3% when attacking with the engraved card. Over at the login campaign, there'll be a total of 21 apples, and 18 of them will be silver apples, and then 3 of them will be golden apples, which on day 1, day 8, and day 15 are the days that you will get the golden apples. As far as game updates go, there'll be a form change viewer, so servants with alternate Noble Phantasm forms can now be viewed from the servant details screen. Very neat. Strengthening quest will be added for Fujino and Calamity Jane, so if you have either one of them, then you can get this strengthening in for you. I have both of them, so I look forward to getting both of them as far as these go. And then we move on once again. So like I said a little bit earlier, this is a mission-based event, and there are 100 missions, with the vast majority of them being pretty straightforward and easy to do. As long as you're playing through the event, you should be able to clear most of them. There are also a buttload of rewards, such as summon tickets. There's a grand total of 5 of them, and this is also where you'll be able to pick up the high school uniform. The other thing to take note here is that the main quests are locked behind missions, but they're also pretty easy to track because all of them have to deal with acquiring exorcism points. So missions 9 through 23 all have that, and the way you unlock them is that you clear a certain act or get to a specific arrow in a certain act, and they will unlock. And then the way you clear them is that you acquire more exorcism points, and the way you get those is through clearing missions themselves, which are pretty simple stuff, such as just defeating 80 casters, defeating 20 casters, stuff like that. As long as you're, like I said, if you're just playing the event, doing some free quests, doing this, you should be able to get these no problem. It shouldn't be that much of a hassle. And then if you want to know the grand total of how many exorcism points you need to be able to get to the final act, it's 33,000, and that is the mission. So let's move on to the event shop. As I mentioned earlier, the antique paper lanterns, that's the gold drop, the hot springs milk, that's the silver drops, and the talisman of the shady history, or a talisman with a shady history. Sorry, it's been a long recording session for this one. That's the bronze material. For antique paper lanterns, you'll need 4,200 to get everything in this shop. And then inside the shop, we have 2 of the 5-star event CE, 16 stacks of 10 servant coins, so buying 1 gets you 10 coins, 1 lore, a golden foe for HP and attack, 25 stacks of 10 evocation leaves, so buying 1 will get you 10 leaves, 1 code remover, 10 comet shards, 10 genesis eggs, 10 scarab of wisdom, 20 flowers of the end, 20 golden statues for saber, archer, and caster. And once you have absolutely everything in the shop, you can start exchanging them for QP. The exchange rate is for every 2 you get 10,000 QP, and that is it for antique paper lanterns. For hot springs milk, you're gonna need 5,000 of them to clear this shop, and inside the shop we have 1 5-star CE, 16 stacks of 10 servant coins, 1 lore, 1 golden foe for attack, 25 stacks of 10 evocation leaves, 1 code remover, 10 of the 4-star craft essence EXP cards, 20 lamps of demon sealing, 20 phoenix plums, 20 ether photon convergers, 20 scales of fantasy, 20 silver statues for saber, archer, and caster. And once you've officially cleared the shop, you can start exchanging them for the lanterns, which the exchange rate is for every 10 milk you get a single antique paper lantern. And then we'll go on to talismans. So for talisman, you're going to need a total of 5,450 to clear this shop. Inside the shop is, again, a 5-star event CE, 16 stacks of 10 servant coins, 1 lore, 1 golden foe for HP, 25 stacks of 10 evocation leaves, 1 code remover, 10 3-star craft essence EXP cards, 20 silver foe for HP and attack, 55 EXP, and not 55 EXP, but 5-star EXP, 50 of them, 104-star EXP, and 103-star EXP. 20 divine leyline spiritrons, 20 giant's rings, 20 forbidden pages, 30 void dust, and then finally, once you've cleared everything, you can start exchanging them for hot springs milk, which is for every 10 you get a single one of them. And that's the event shop. And then on to the main quest. I won't show too much of it just because I don't want to accidentally spoil, I guess, certain things of the story by accident, whatever it may be. But there are basically 8 acts, and some of them have like multiple parts to them, and as you can see here, there's an act 0. But either way, what you need to know is the most important thing, which is that you'll get 10 Saint quartz from them all, and then you'll be able to complete it all. Now, this is the next thing that's going to be... No, this is not going to be as difficult as the next thing. This is almost as difficult. But remember when I said a little bit earlier about, like, if you used certain optimal teams, you'll be able to get some extra things? This is what they were talking about. So, an extra enemy unit will spawn per wave if the player's party contains servants meeting specific criteria. These enemies will drop extra QP. This makes this... So obviously all of them are different and I can't go over all of them, so I'm gonna leave the wiki here. Otherwise this video is gonna be way longer than I would have liked. But all of them have like different things to them. Like the first one that you see, Kumano Hot Springs entrance, the waves 1 through 3 bonus condition is a child servant. And if we go all the way to the end, which is the best node that most people want to be farming for at the end, that you unlock after you clear Act 8, it's the mid-air open air bath. And this one, up to 6 enemies may appear. The way the enemies break down is that they're all assassins, which is good, including the big one at the final wave. But across waves 1 and 2, the bonus conditions are Spectre, Evening Star, Living Human trait, and then the wave 2 bonus condition is having Kinsagibi, which is mana A or higher. I think as long as you bring around Alice or Aoko, or maybe Sojuro, I assume the living human part is for Sojuro. As long as I assume if you bring one of the 3 main servants, you should be able to meet the condition here. But because of that, it makes team building a lot harder to kind of like give advice for, other than... Don't even ask me, I don't even know what the fuck my team advice is for this one, other than good luck and try and figure it out. Again, I'll leave a wiki, the wiki page on the description box so you can pick up, so you can check it out yourself if you want a future team build. But this is definitely one of those cases where I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna play it by ear, and when I get there, I'll kind of go for it. It looked like based off of mana A or higher, I think one of the ones I could get is, if I look here, yeah, see there's Aoko, but then there's also Cuckoo. So Cuckoo is my automatic out for everything. So that works for me there. Now it sounds a little bit complicated. I guess the other thing that I should say is the drops here. The thing you get from here are Genesis eggs, Tiny Bell of Amnesty, and Assassin Gems, which is all pretty good. And then, like I said, it is the best place to farm. If you're not able to farm it, then the next best thing that you can do is probably do Locked Room, or if you can't do that, try and do one of these specific ones. I assume a lot of people will be able to do Locked Room because we do have a bonus damage bonus CE in this one, so it should be a little bit easier for it. Now, whether or not you're actually able to complete it with the conditions met, that's another set of things to worry about when the time comes, which makes it a little bit hard to talk about. But speaking of hard to talk about, this extra quest, I talked to my brother about this. I have no idea how the fuck they're going to do this for us. So I'm going to explain to you what this is, and then you tell me when you figure out the issue. Extra quests will be available for 2 hours each day. They can be repeated for as long as they're available on the map, and drop additional rewards compared to the normal free quest. The next available quest period will be hinted at on the event map. So, like this says, there's a whole buttload of events. I think they have the specific breakdown of when they happened on the JP side, so maybe they'll be, I don't know when they do it for us. So if you were not able to figure out what's the issue, Woki, the problem is that this makes sense for Japan, because they know when everything is going to be at a relative, when everyone's going to be awake in Japan time, right? We all live in Japan, some of us that play the JP version of the game, easy enough to solve, right? And if you don't, then I guess to them it's like, well, why are you playing this version of the game? This is for Japanese people only. Anyway, not that I agree with their sentiment on this. I'm just saying that's how they would probably view it. The problem is when you get to our version of the game, our time zones are completely fucking different. We can't agree on, like, if you go to, for example, the YouTube link that I said here, you'll see some people who are like, why is the date different from when they said the stream is gonna happen? And I looked at that and said, like, that's not true. It's gonna happen on the 29th. And then some other people are like, it's not the 29th anymore. I'm not on that date. So consider that and then say to me, when the fuck did we put this up? I just have to assume that for the vast majority of people, I don't think you're going to be able to farm this. Because I don't know if you're going to be awake. I don't know if I'm going to be awake for this. I just don't know when they could potentially set. Maybe they could do it at maintenance, maybe. That would be okay for me, but that would completely fuck over other people who like have a way different times. Like if you live in someplace like the UK, that would completely fuck you over because then that's going to be at a who knows fucking ass backwards clock for you. I don't know. This one's going to be tough. I really don't know how they can handle it. I kind of wish they increased the extra rewards. I hope that when they do the stream, they talk about this because we have to have more than 2 hours a day or so many of us are just going to miss out on this. But maybe they're okay with it. I don't know. I don't even know if this is really good for farming stuff. I don't know. I don't know that much. All I know is that I read this and said, dude, this is going to cause such a big headache. But who knows, maybe they figured it out and it's not going to be a headache. But just based off of me trying to explain to people when does this event start, it just looks like this is a recipe for disaster for us. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be missing out on it and going to be sad pandas, that's for sure. Next, the challenge quest, which I won't go too into it just in case you want to be surprised about what the fight is going to be itself. And then also, I have this thing where I always say that if me and my brother decide to go do it, then we want to be we don't want to know what the fight entails until we're there ready to do it. But we haven't actually done one of those in a very long time. It's really all on me though. To unlock it, you have to have cleared Solomon and all the main quests and all 100 missions. And then for the super high difficulty version, clear high difficulty extra magic numbers to unlock. So after you beat this one, an even harder version will unlock. And that's the basics of the events. And now we'll go into the summon banners and stuff like that. So for summon banners and for the CEs that are actually coming to the game as well, because I just realized I didn't actually go over what they did. I just kind of said their names. For the rate up craft essences, these are going to be across all the banners. We have Puppeteer's Respite, which gives Arts plus 8%, Buster plus 8%, and NP generation rate. NP generation 8%, NP overcharged by 2 stages 1 time, and this will help you with your drops of the lanterns. We have a Phantasmal Eating Tour, which gives you 10 critical stars when entering the field, crit damage 5%, damage cut 100, and this will help give you some more delicious hot springs milk. By the way, if you have visited a hot springs, do they really just drink milk after the hot springs? I've never. Why is that a thing? I'm not saying that it couldn't be good. I'm just wondering, why do they do that? Does the milk help you with that because it's hot and then you feel like, I don't know. The only thing I know about milk is when Link drinks it, which I think is a reference to this, but you know what? I've spent enough time talking about the milk. Eyewitness of the Holy Night, Arts plus 8%, critical damage 5%, and healing received 10%, and this is also a 4-star. And then the 3-star CE is Schoolhouse in Masaki. Heals 50 HP every turn, gain 1 star every turn. MP generation rate is 3%, is gained up 3%, and this also drops the talisman with a shady history. And those are going to be the rate up craft essences. Next, the summon campaigns. We have Aoko, who should be first, and then Alice will follow her up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days afterwards. So if she releases for us on technically the 29th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would mean Alice is probably here on Friday, the 3rd, is what I would assume. Aoko, we'll go over her unit in a little bit here, but we'll go on to the next summon campaign. We have summon campaign 2, which is Space Ishtar and Calamity Jane. Now, when did they show up afterwards? 2 days later? Okay, 2 days later, Space Ishtar shows up with Calamity Jane. And then we have Alice's banner, which she will show up, like I said, about 5 days after Aoko over here. She's a caster, and we'll go over her at a later time, not right now. She'll have her own video when the time comes. And then Summoning Campaign 4, which is the banner that features Void Shiki, Muramasa, and Kashin Koji, with Fujino likely teamed up with Saber Shiki and Senjubu. I don't know where Kashin, she'll go with Kashin Koji. Muramasa, he's a man by himself. He's not with anyone else. And those are what the banners are looking for this event. Now, it's time to go over the units. But before we go over Aoko, we have to go over very quickly the welfare, because you know, I almost forgot, but there is a welfare to him, and he's also very good from what I remember, for one specific reason, which I'll go into why I like him. But let's talk about let's say his full name here, Shizuki Sojuro. So he is a berserker, he is a welfare, like I said beforehand. He also just looks like a dude. I think when this guy was first announced, and I don't know very much about Witch on the Holy Night, which I still need to go for the story. It's very shameful that I was not able to get to it in time, but I will get to it at some point. He looked like just a dude to me. This is maybe the most dude that they've ever added to this game, where this is clearly just a man. He is man. They have added man to the game. His attribute is man, because he is just a guy. But anyway, he has 1 quick, 2 arts, 2 buster, 4 hits on quick, 3 hits on arts, 3 hits on buster, and 5 hits on extra. Pilgrimage away from death and killing is his first active skill. Increases own arts performance for 3 turns, increases own buster performance for 3 turns, grants self lethal damage evasion for 5 times 3 turns. What does that mean? Lethal damage evasion. The evasion activates when the damage value for an enemy attack would cause its HP to reach 0 instead of reducing its damage to 0. This effect cannot prevent death from non-damaging effects such as instant kill triggering death regardless of the damage values, or indirect damage sources such as the end of the turn DOTS from ailment debuffs inflicted damage outside of enemy attack. This effect is stackable with normal evasion status, and the count of normal evasion is consumed after lethal damage evasion when taking attack. His arts increase is 20% and his buster increase is 20% at skill level 10, and the cooldown is 6. His second skill is borrowing from Chakravatan to Palanka at will. I said that completely wrong. Multiplies the value of NP gauge and then increases own crit damage for 3 turns. If own HP is 75% or less, increase own crit damage for 3 turns. If own HP is 50% or less, increase own crit damage for 3 turns. If own HP is 25% or less, increase own crit damage for 3 turns. Here's the special note. Charging NP gauge at skill level 10, 50% equals 100%, 100% equals 200%, and 150% is 300%. The multiple NP value is 100% at skill level 10. Crit damage is 25%. The HP 75% crit damage up is 25%. If it's HP is 50% or less, it's 25% increase, and then another 25% at the end here. So you would, in theory, be able to get 100% if he was at HP 25% or less, I believe. And this is on a cooldown of 6. His third skill is the near eternity asceticism in Pagodia to learn 100 tricks. Select one of the options below. Option 1, grants self a delay buff for 1 turn, changes all own command card types to quick cards for 1 turn, and after 1 turn increases own quick performance for 1 turn after 1 turn. Option 2, grants self delayed buff for 1 turn, changes all own command card types to arts cards for 1 turn, fuck me, for 1 turn after 1 turn, increases own arts performance for 1 turn after 1 turn. Option 3, grants self-delayed buff for 1 turn, changes all own command card type to buster cards for 1 turn after 1 turn, increase own buster performance for 1 turn after 1 turn. And it's 30% to quick arts and buster, and this is on a cooldown of 6. His passive skills are present concealment A, knowledge of the Soa C, increases on critical attack chance resistance by 10%, and then good luck charm EX, grants self terror debuff immunity, grants self confusion debuff immunity, and then grants self the skill seal debuff immunity. His third skill is an anti-caster critical attack chance resistance, and his noble phantasm is the retrogression canal, the evil spirit killing, coordinates unknown, evil spirit killing. Rank C+++, it's anti-world, it hits a single time, it's buster, it ignores invincibility for 1 turn, this activates first, ignores damage cut for 1 turn, activates first, deals damage to 1 enemy, deals 150% extra damage against enemies with a defensive up status, a 500% chance to sacrifice yourself, The note here, the sacrifice cannot be prevented but can trigger guts. An MP level 1 at 600%, and you're going to have him MP level 5 if you're playing the event, so it's 1000 damage. At MP level 5. His overcharge effect is an increase to own attack for 1 turn, which activates first. I better hope so. At charge level 1, it's 10%, and if you get him all the way to the final charge level, it is 50%. And next, we have his Bond CE, which is the secret Makakane... No, is it Makakane? No. Makanai Meshi. When equipped to him, increases his own MP damage by 20%, increases his own MP damage by 30%, and then grants self a gut status for 1 time, revives with 20% HP, which puts him directly under the ability to do all your crit nonsense stuff. And that, whew, finally, is Sojuro, which is a hell of a journey we went through as I read through that 3rd skill. I'm sorry if that was confusing to you. That was me trying. I had to read everything, but I guess we're here at the end. How's Sojuro? I really like this dude. There's something about him that feels sick. I love the design of him. The best thing about him is that they made him basically a single target version of Arash, and I love Arash. So that means that you can use his NP, and then he deals a fuck ton of damage, and then he dies, and then he leaves the turn, so then someone else basically swaps in. He's perfect if all you need is to kill 1 thing, and then you just need him to leave. You don't need him anymore for anything else you're planning to do. I don't know. I love the design of this guy. I think he's really cool. Which is funny because when I debuted him, I'm like, this is the most man-looking dude ever. And then I saw his NP and I saw what he did, and I said, this guy's cool as hell. Whenever I get around to reading his visual novel, I would love to know what the hell is going on here. Why is he built like this? I really don't know the answer. I hope to learn the answer soon enough. Don't actually tell me, because I plan to actually go through it itself. I don't want to be spoiled on anything. I think at one point probably a friend did tell me and I completely forgot, but that's just how I work. But anyway, I think he ends up working pretty cool. For a welfare servant to, I think the same way of, I think of him at the same way of Arash. Sometimes you just need a single wave dead or a single enemy dead. At this case, he'll come in, do his job, and then leave, and then he'll open up a slot on the team for someone to come in and bring their buffs or do whatever. I think it's very good. I think this is a great unit. Easy enough to say. He's also a free unit, so everyone will have him. Whether or not you want to mess with him, go ahead. Hell, there's even if you don't want to do what I said and you want to build him more towards like having a gut style ability, and then you can take advantage of this like crit damage that he's going to be getting for 3 turns because his HP is going to be so low. This ability is also fucking crazy, by the way. Multiplies the value of NP gauge is a hilarious ability when you read it. It's like, so does it read like I think of? If you get 150%, you just get 300%? Yeah. Insane ability to give to a 4-star. But anyway, really good dude. Glad he's free. Awesome dude. And now we'll move on to Aoko. Aoko. She is a limited servant. She is a foreigner. She has... Ugh. Okay, if you thought I was reading a whole bunch, get ready for this one. In her default form, she has 1 quick, 2 arts, 2 buster. 4 hits on quick, 3 hits on arts, 3 hits on buster, and 5 hits on extra. When she is super Aoko, she has 1 quick, 3 arts, 1 buster, 4 hits on quick, 3 hits on arts, 3 AoE hits on buster, and 5 hits AoE on extra. Her active skills, which we're going to start with the default mode and then we're going to go to super Aoko. But in her default form, her first skill is Magic Bullet Charging B, and you grant yourself Magic Bullet buff 3 times. Magic Bullet increases own attack by 50% for 1 turn by removing 1 earliest Magic Bullet buff when normal attacking with a quick, arts, or buster card. Increases own attack by 50% for 1 time by removing all Magic Bullet buffs when normal attacking with extra attack. And Magic Bullet stack count is max 20 stacks. And then you gain some crit stars. The amount of crit stars you gain is 20 at level 10. And then next we have skill 2, which is Magic Circuits, Rotation A. This skill effect will be removed when transforming into Super Aoko. Grant self a buff regeneration for 3 turns, charges party's NP gauge every turn for 3 turns, and then gain crit stars every turn for 3 turns. 20% to NP, and the star regen is 10 on a cooldown of 7. Her third skill is Back to Those Days Once More EX. Increases one ally's quick performance for 3 turns, increases one ally's arts performance for 3 turns, increases one ally's buster performance for 3 turns, increases one ally's critical damage for 3 turns, grants one ally HP regeneration buff for 3 turns, grants one ally the protagonist correction buff for 3 turns, protagonist correction immunity from all demerit effects which owner will use active skills in noble phantasms except some effects such as sacrifice and compensation demerits. Note, generally protagonist correction buff can disable effects with the demerit notion in the description. List of effects that are not covered by protagonist correction buff are sacrifice effects such as active skills and noble phantasm, Super Aoko's first star, Gakula Khan's star consumption for her skill bonus effect not mentioned as a demerit, Angara Manyu's waiting status on the verge of Vesta, Van Gogh's self curse and curse absorption, Oberon's End of a Dream, Lacosta's self poison, Naknaraban Yarandu, My Fair Soldier debuff, Kiara Moon Cancer, skill rank up buff removal, Lord Logris's Yenis Woodrin, and skills that grants buff to the enemy such as Kiyohime Stalking. And then at level 10, you get 30% to quick, 30% to art, 30% to buster, 30% to crit damage, and the HP regen is 2000, and this is on a cooldown of 7. And then we enter her Super Aoko form, which her first skill is Search for the Milky Way EX, which grants you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks of magic bullet buff. Increases own attack. Oh no, I already said that. And then grants self-invincibility for when I was just gonna read what magic bullets did all over again in case you forgot in the meantime when I was reading all those other skills. Grants self-invisibility for 1 turn, increases own arts performance for 3 turns, 10%. At level 10 she gets 30% to arts on a cooldown of 4. Her second skill is Magic Circuits Revolution EX, charges own NP gauge and then gain crit stars. At NP, the NP increase is 100% and the stars are 40, and this is on a cooldown of 7. Her third skill is the First Star C, can only be used when your NP gauge is 100% or higher. Reduce own NP gauge by 100%. Increase own buster performance for 5 turns. Increase own extra attack performance for 5 turns. Charges party's NP gauge except for self, and then reduces party's skill cooldown by 2 except self, and then recovers party's HP. The buster increase is 50%, the extra attack increase is 100%, the NP, the charging party's NP gauge except for self is 50%, and then the HP regen is 5000, and this is on a cooldown of 8. And then finally we have her passive skills, which are Existence Outside the Domain E, Territory Creation E, Item Construction E, Magician C, increases own debuff resistance by 20%, increases own instant kill resistance by 20%, increases own buff removal resistance by 20%, and then convert own invincibility status to anti-purge defense status. To conversion to anti-purge defense skill will only occur for invincibility effects actively triggered during battle, and that they are passively activated before the battle, such as craft essence effects will still remain as standard invincibility status. And then when she transforms into Super Aoko, she gets Magic Bullet Deployment EX, grant self a buff regeneration, grant self a Magic Bullet buff every turn, and then grant yourself another Magic Bullet buff every turn. Magic Circuits Rotation B, grant self a buff regeneration, recharges party's HP and gauge by 10% every turn, and then gain 3 crit stars. Her third append skill is an anti-saber attack damage aptitude, and her Noble Phantasm, there are 2 of them. The default is Unfinished Blue Retrograde Milky Way Redshift. It's rank EX, it's arts. It has a 500% chance to transform yourself into Super Aoko, and then increase own buster performance permanently, increase own extra attack performance permanently, and then remove own active skills remove own second active skills buffs. The note here is that Super Aoko has AoE buster and extra attacks, which have halved damage and NP generation rate, critical star generation rate modifiers compared to their normal counterparts. Star and NP generations are calculated per enemy, Crits are calculated for each individual enemy, so it's possible to hit one enemy with a crit while missing on the other with one attack. Skill cooldowns are inherited from the default stage. At MP level 1, you get a permanent 20% to buster and 20% to extra attack, and if you get it all the way to MP level 5, it's 50% to both. And an overcharge effect is an increase of critical damage for 3 turns. At charge level 1, it's 30%, and if you get it all the way to the final charge level, it's 70%. And then we have Super Aoko, who has Earthlight, Star Bow, rank A+, anti-army, hits 5 times. It's arts as well. It ignores invincibility for 1 turn, disactivates first. Ignores defense ignores defense for 1 turn, activates first. Deals damage to all enemies, and it deals 100 plus N extra damage to them, which is equal to the magic bullet stack that you have. And then you remove your own stack of the earliest magic bullets, so you remove 10 stacks of magic bullet after you use this. At MP level 1, it's 450%, and if you get it all the way to MP level 5, it's 750%. The overcharge effect is reducing all enemies' defense for 3 turns. This activates first. At charge level 1, it's 10%, and if you get it all the way to the final charge level, it's 30%. And then her stats are also different depending on which mode you're going in, by the way. But I'm not going to look at that. I don't talk about those regardless. Her bond CE is Waiting in the Sky. When equipped on Aoko, increases own NP damage by 30%, and then grants self a buff regeneration, which grants yourself a magic bullet buff every turn. And thank God that is Aoko. Excuse me as I quickly drink my water, and then I will tell you how I feel about Aoko. Ooh, that was a lot of reading. Anyway, I think she's really neat. Yeah, she's a really cool unit to kind of use. The main, I guess, issue you can put in quotation marks here is that she's very hard to use. Now, I mentioned there's a lot of things that you kind of do, but I think that's also like the fun. This is a tough unit to use because I don't want it to make it seem like I'm being overly negative on it, but I think it's fair enough to bring it up. Is that Aoko is one of those units that's like a puzzle box, and when you get a puzzle box, you move it around and you try and figure it out, and you have a lot of fun doing it. But it is also difficult to put it into place and for it to click, and it's not going to click for everyone. Some people will look at the puzzle box and go, oh man, this is annoying. I'm just going to go back to good old Cuckoo, who from what I understand is hit big, do big damage, and then that's it. Aoko is very different in that the way her playstyle is kind of played around is something that I can't really fully describe because I don't own her. If I had her, it'd be easier for me to be like, okay, let me try and tell you how to use her because I'm trying to figure her out at the same time, which is what I hope to do when I obviously go summing for her. And even then, if you're not playing her optimally, I still think she sounds pretty damn cool. Like, all her abilities, there's just something so unique about this unit. Like, I love the idea of like, no, you turn into your super form and then you have the ability to use AoE abilities, but then they don't make it easier for you because as you see here, you go from 2 buster cards down to 1. So they really want you to kind of try and like work for those extras. So in your head, you're like, well, how can I make that possible? And that's where kind of fun team building, that's where more silly team building can kind of be put in there as you try and solve this and try and make her as good as you can. And I think a unit like that, we need more units like that, actually. I think it's okay to have both types of units. You can have the units that have like 3 sentences of text, and they're very easy to understand, and they're super effective, and they're some of the best in the game. But I think we also need units like this that are just like mechanically dense and super interesting to play as. Like, I think when you go in with certain units, you always know how you go. You either hit your milestones or you don't. With this one, I really don't know how the fuck any specific thing is supposed to look. Even then, like, I know that I've seen plenty of videos of people actually being able to farm with Aoko and stuff like that. And it seems like it'd be pretty damn difficult because the main thing you have to think about is that you have to go into your super form, and then from your super form, you do gain access to your Noble Phantasm, which you can go through that way. But the way that seems to be the way that would be the most fun to kind of try and farm with her is actually trying to get more extra hits and arts, and then you have to start to wonder, okay, well, how the fuck do I actually get that to happen? And I don't know, I just think things like that, that I bring up, makes her so unique, and for that reason alone, I have to consider her at least a good unit. Is she probably the strongest, most busted unit that if you get, you'll be able to solve everything? Chances are the answer is no. but I think she still would be a really fun unit to play and a lot of fun to kind of mess around with. And if you are someone who was willing to kind of put in the effort into being super good with and trying to figure out team build, you'll be rewarded by a unit that'll just like it's like when what's the way I can see it, it's like that fighting game character, like, you know, that's like super hard to play, but if you see them played, you see a person who's like mastered them and it's like nothing but pure sauce. You're just like looking at it and you're in awe. You're like, holy shit, how the fuck did they figure this out? I think that's kind of the best thing about Aoko for me. But that, and she's also super cool. So that's good enough. That's how I feel about Aoko. If I missed anything, which I'm sure I probably missed something because this is a very dense unit, and if you want to drop down some hints that you played on the JP version that you want to talk about Aoko, feel free to leave them down below. I'm sure that I would love to read them, and I'm sure anyone who is like stumbling around the video who wants to know a little bit more about her would also greatly appreciate it, I think. But anyway, should you summon, that's completely up to you. I already said I'm going to be summoning. I'm going to assume most people are going to be summoning. The only reason not to summon is I assume you spent most of it on Castoria, but I think by the time she releases, Castoria's mana should be gone. In which case the next thing to save up for would be Anniversary, or again when Castoria's rerun comes back. Sometime when the download campaign happens in early October / late just to be double sure on this one, but yeah, late September, early October or something like that. But either way, this one's I already know that a lot of people are going for it. It's a collab, it's a fun time. She looks really cool. She's the main heroine. I don't even need to really say much. I guess if you're not summoning, feel free to let me know, but I'm already in the assumption most people are summoning. I'm summoning. I'm going to be doing a couple videos, not a couple videos, I'm going to be doing a good amount of summons on them here. I don't know if my brother's summoning. Brother, are you summoning for Aoko?
Yeah.
He says yes. He'll be there too. So yeah, I wish you guys the best of luck on your summons, and that's the end of the video. This one took an ungodly amount of time to record, so I greatly appreciate all the people who made it all the way to the end. I greatly appreciate it, especially because the channel has been picked up some traction most recently. Very grateful for all the people who are watching. It also makes me want to try and do better, and also it also does things like make me re-record the intro like 30 times because I don't know that how hey everybody, are you ready for another adventure? Did it hit just quite right? Which is a very stupid thing to spend your time on recording, but anyway, that's my way of saying I appreciate you guys a whole bunch, and I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it may be. See you guys later. Until next time, bye bye and good luck. Peace out. Bye.